Hi guys, welcome to another video and welcome back to Northumberland, Hadrian's Wall country to be exact. I've come to Wartown Crags and I'm meeting up with fellow Northumberland photographer David Taylor, and we're going to have a bit of a joint up to Hadrian's Wall, take a few photos. As you may know, we're running some workshops next year, so part of us meeting up is actually to recce the first workshop of the year, which is of course is Hadrian's Wall in January. But I'm going to set him a little bit of a challenge which he doesn't know about yet, so let's go and catch up with him. Hi David, how are you?
Hello Jason, nice to meet you here.
Right, so I've got a bit of a challenge.
Okay, go on.
You up for it?
Oh definitely, I'm always up for a challenge.
Okay, would you prefer colour or black and white? What is your preferred preference in this sort of conditions?
I'll probably go for black and white, but...
Right, so my challenge is, why don't we flick a coin?
Okay.
You can flip the coin. If it's heads, you do colour.
Right. Okay.
If it's tails, you do black and white.
Okay.
And I'll do the opposite.
Sounds good to me.
Okie dokie, here's a coin. So heads colour, tail black and white.
Do I have to keep this?
No.
No.
I'm a photographer, times are hard. Right, and what have we got?
Got a head.
Oh, you've got heads? Yes. Just what I was hoping for. Sorry, David. Right, shall we get up the hills?
Perfect, sounds good to me.
Right, guys, meet you up there. Well, you know winter is on its way when I get the big hat out, but yeah, it's a bit chilly today. Anyway, I feel really sorry for David. I must admit, I knew I was going to do this, but on the drive over, I never thought I'd be this lucky. I thought I was going to get the colour shot, so I was actually thinking in my head, what on earth am I going to do if I get colour in this sort of grey, drab day? What on earth, what colour shots would I take? And as luck happens, I've got black and white, so I'm chuffed. The only thing I'm not so chuffed about is if I'd have known I was going to get black and white, I actually would have brought my Panasonic S5 2X with me because I really wanted to try out the Leica monochrome profile which has been added to it, but I didn't. I've actually got an Olympus camera body with me today, so that's a bit of a pain, but we'll see how we get on. But David seems to be enjoying himself. It looks like he's actually got a shot lined up. You got something, David? Oh, we'll put that up on the screen and you can have a look at it. Meanwhile, I'm not really sure what I'm going to do myself. I'm sort of considering the seed heads, the grass seed heads here, seeing if I can sort of do an almost detail shot. Not macro, because I don't have a macro lens, but it's sort of a more intimate landscape, I suppose. I think that's the way I'm probably heading at the moment. But what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take my bag off my back, because I think that's always a good idea, and have a little bit of a walk around and see if I can actually find something that's worth taking a photo of. So the camera in question is the Olympus OM1. Okay, technically the OM Systems OM1. Obviously early days with this camera. At the moment I'm sort of just getting my head around where all the buttons and switches do, the computational photography settings, things like the live ND, stuff like that. Now, as I am shooting in black and white, I'm going to set my profile to black and white. So the reason why I've set the profile to a monochrome profile is not because the final shot will then come out in black and white in monochrome, because it won't, it will still come out as a colour file. But it's simply so at the preview stage, looking for the EVF and the rear screen, everything is in black and white, and that just makes it easier to visualise how your shot's going to come out. Now obviously if you were shooting in a traditional film camera as such, you wouldn't have that luxury, and what you would have to be doing is just almost interpreting in your head how the colour scene is going to translate to black and white. But you know what, I'm using a mirrorless camera. We've got this amazing technology packed in a small camera body. It makes sense to use it. I think I might film my first shot. I'm going to set my tripod up and then I'm going to put you onto the EVF view. I think my only worry may be a little bit of a breeze of this shot, because I think it's really, I'm attracted by this really, the fine details of this grass here. Actually, there's really not much to it, but I think that's what I quite like. Now, what I did find is when I was trying to do it handheld, was that the camera was struggling to focus on it, but I'm using the 12 to 40 2.8 Mark II Pro lens, which has a focusing clutch, which is brilliant, you know, so that can be focusing, or manual focus. Excellent. So it's taken quite a while to compose this shot. It's been a case of just finding the perfect subject and just trying to sort of simplify everything down, because honestly, it's the sort of scene you'd walk past every day. So I was trying to strip it back to the most simplest of forms, and it sort of reminds me of like a Japanese sort of line painting sort of thing. But I'm going to switch it to the live view and sort of describe it a little bit better. So as you can see, I've gone for a square crop. It's always timeless with black and white, I think. Nice square crop, especially if you're sort of doing an abstract. It makes it sort of a little bit, it simplifies everything, and I think simple's good. And I've almost tried to sort of have a triangular shape going on within the frame. Now, as you can tell, I'm manually focusing, so, you know, you can see there the control I have. But I think I'm actually going to focus on the ones at the front and get the bits like that. Now, my concern is the wind, because effectively I'm shooting f2.8, but I'm at ISO 200. No, I'm at ISO auto, which is giving me 200. What I'm going to do, I'm going to try ISO 400, see what, now we get 500 for a second. I'm going to try that. I've got a 2 second self timer on. Take the shot. As you can see, I can tell there, it's not perfectly sharp, is it? I've got to say, the EVF on this camera is beautiful, really nice, really, really nice. Anyway, I'm going to ISO 800. Give me 1000 per second, f2.8. Which I'm hoping will freeze any movement we may have. That's looking pretty decent actually, but I can tell the noise is starting to come in. But I'm shooting black and white, so I'm not too worried with that, to be honest. I can cope with a little bit of noise. And all I'm going to do now is I'm just going to take a few more shots. Basically, because the wind's moving it around, so slightly changing my composition. Choose my favourite one, and I'll put it on the screen for you now.
Yeah, I have to admit, I was slightly disappointed when Jason won the toss there and he got to do black and white. Because when we got here, it was very, very flat. The lighting was very flat and grey and monochrome. And I thought it was going to be a bit of a challenge to get some colour photography done. But actually, I found some nice lichens, which I've shot earlier. And now I think the light's just starting to break through. The clouds are breaking. So I might get some nice light on the wall here. So I'm going to shoot Hadrian's wall. And I've got this composition where it's just snaking through the landscape with these rocks around in the foreground. And if the light just pops through, it's going to light this side of the wall, which I think it is just now. Yeah, that's really lifting the composition there, lifting the exposure. It's not the brightest colour landscape ever. It's very wintry, very monochromatic, but still that light just lifts everything up a little bit. So I think I'm happy with that. I'll just do a few different exposures just to make sure that I've got it right.
Davey's probably told you, the light's starting to come out. The reason we came today is because the forecast was actually pretty decent, but it's cold, very cold, but at least it's looking really nice and bright towards the west. Fingers crossed we may get something. Here, I'm just taking a simple shot of these crags, sort of looking towards Hadrian's Wall. I'm hoping to do a long exposure at the moment. I've got 60 seconds, f8, ISO 200. I'm using a traditional 10 times neutral density filter, magnetic, just slapped on the front of the camera. And really, just letting the camera do its thing. Basically, I'm waiting for some light. This shot needs light. I might be shooting in black and white, and I know there's this sort of, I've heard it said by some photographers, it's the light shite, shooting black and white. I don't buy that at all. Yes, it's easier, if you've got poor light, it's easier to create something in black and white. But you know what, you still need light. You still need the right light for the right situation to produce a nice black and white image. And that's what I need here. This is still a big open landscape. If I had some fog or something rolling in, yes, I wouldn't need light, but I need something off these rocks. And hopefully, fingers crossed, I'm going to get it. And if I do, I'll put the shot up on the screen for you now. Right, so the light's gorgeous at the moment, and I'm quite pleased with that shot, but I think it might be a nicer one down here. So nothing like a little bit of a run around. I've been very unsure about this shot, to be honest. I think there's a lot going on. If I swing you around, I'll try and explain what's catching my eye. Because I think sometimes working out what's the first thing that attracts you to a shot is always a good working point. And for me, it's definitely this big rock here, which is fallen over and sort of leading towards the wall. But what I'm struggling to do is I'm almost struggling to bring the two different elements together. So they've got the crags here, and we've got the old Roman wall. And at the moment, it seems very much like two different things, and I want to try and compose in such a way that it actually all becomes one. So if you look at my composition now, I'll just brighten it up a bit so you can see it. I've actually decided to emit the wall from it. You know, don't be afraid to take things out of the landscape. You don't have to get everything in, because sometimes it's definitely a case of less is more. And here, whilst I wanted to sort of get that connection between the stones and the wall, the reality is it just wasn't working, and it has to be just the stones. So it's just a case now of me waiting for some light. Now, of course, in my instance, it's probably not as important to have light as it will be for David, because David needs to sort of try and lift some of these colours out of it. And I'm doing black and white, so I can do more of an interpretation of a scene, I suppose, as opposed to being David's. It's definitely having to do more pictorial, if that makes sense.
So we had this wonderful brief burst of light where the landscape was all lit up and it was great, but that didn't last very long, 10-20 minutes. So we both got some nice shots, I think. We've got something which fulfills the challenge. But I've got one more shot to take, and I've come down to this little group of trees. There's not much autumnal colour left. We're into December now, but there's this oak tree still has a few leaves on it. So I'm going to get my third and final colour shot, shooting these leaves on the tree here. And I'm hoping there is a little bit of blue sky, not a huge amount. It'll probably overexpose because it's quite dim and dark down here compared to the sky behind. But I'm hoping there might be a little bit of colour in the sky behind, which will be a nice sort of colour contrast to the orange-brown of the leaves. I'm going to shoot without a tripod. I'm going to shoot handheld. I'm going to shoot wide open. This is an f4 lens. So I'm going to shoot at f4, throw the background out of focus, so just the leaf or the leaves are in focus, so they're nice and sharp, but everything nice and soft behind. And yeah, so around here, these lovely groups of trees, the leaves which are curling up because they're drying out as the winter progresses.
Right, I think I've found my final composition. Now, I've been of the chain of thought that flip out screens that flip out fully articulating are more designed for video than photography. However, I think this is a good example of why actually they can be actually really, really useful for photography, and I'm going to show you what I mean. Because here, I'm actually taking a shot looking straight up. Now, because it's a fully articulating screen, I can pull that screen right round, facing this way, and it now makes it possible for me to compose a shot looking up without having to physically get my head underneath looking up via that EVF. So again, 2 second self timer. I think the focusing, it's almost a silhouette, which is fine. As you've probably noticed, with my black and white compositions, I've been trying to keep everything as simple as possible, because I think that always works with black and white. So it's a pretty simple composition. It sort of keeps in very much with the theme of the very first shot I took. And perhaps the odd one out will be the sort of long exposure, more of classic landscape I took. But yeah, a nice simple shot, square crop. I'll put it up on the screen for you now. Right, it's been quite a pleasant day. I felt bad for David today. See how he's gone on. Right, David, how's it been?
Yeah, it's been okay, I think, yeah. It's surprising that you think that, you come to a place like this, it's very flat light, that there's no colour photography to be done. But I think, yeah, if you start looking for little details and things just start to spring out and you start to see colour everywhere.
I do think you struck really lucky with the that bit of sun earlier.
Yes, admittedly, I'll grant you that.
Yeah. I was quite jealous about your angle and composition there. So it's been a good old day, I think.
It's been good fun, yeah.
Obviously, as I've just explained to you guys, I've been trying to keep everything nice and simple with my black and white compositions. Really, I think less is more with mono. I really do. You're stripping colour out, there's strip elements out that you don't need as well. Just keep everything really simple. Do you agree?
Definitely, yes. I mean, I think I do like a nice simple black and white composition. I think that really works.
All I can say is that 50p was a great coin. Thank you, 50p, for falling on heads.
I'm sure it was a double-headed one there, I'm sure.
Of course not. Anyway, brilliant meeting you, David.
And
as I mentioned earlier, guys, we are running workshops every month throughout Northumberland next year. So if you fancy coming along, we're kicking off at Hadrian's Wall. So we'll actually come to this very location. So just have a look on the website if you fancy joining us. And on that note, I'd like to say thank you for watching. And if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Maybe subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And I'll see you again soon for another one. Thanks for watching.
That's great, thanks, bye.
See you later.